Okay, okay. Here's the big one now. So this will be a two-parter, but AJ. Okay, so Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk for the unified IBF, WBA, and WBC. Or wait a minute, the IBF, WBA, and WBO heavyweight championship of the world. Now, Alexander Usyk is the greatest cruiserweight of all time, and yes, that's including Evander Holyfield. He's one of the top 3 or 4 best fighters in the world, and meanwhile, AJ is the unified heavyweight champion of the world. But let's start with going through the tail of the tape, and then I'm going to give you who I think is going to win, okay? So I had to write a couple notes down for this one. Usually, you guys know I can do this right off the top of my head, but not for this one. Not for this one. Hold on, I'll break. So AJ is 31 years old. He stands at 6'6". He has an 82-inch reach. His record reached 24-1. His one defeat coming by way of Andy Ruiz, okay, who was a 33-1 underdog and overweight, and beat the shit out of him. Okay, Alexander Usyk is 34 years of age. He stands at 6'3" and has a 78-inch reach. His record reads 18-0 with 13 wins coming by way of knockout. Now, Alexander Usyk has one of the best resumes in boxing, and people don't even realize it. Marius Braid is beast. Undefeated, took his belt. Glowacki, undefeated, beast, went to his backyard, took his title, took his O. Marco Huck went to Berlin, beat the shit out of him. Like Bellew went to his backyard, beat the Murat Gaziev, beast, went to Moscow as a Ukrainian, took his O, took his belt. Like, he has a phenomenal resume just as it stands, just at cruiserweight, okay? They both won Olympic gold medals. They both have pretty good amateur backgrounds. AJ kind of got a fluke medal. Alexander Usyk actually won his. But I don't want to compare the resumes too much, but I think AJ's gets a little too much praise. Klitschko, okay, it was kind of a passing of the torch fight, but even though I don't believe in that passing of the torch shit. But Klitschko is 41 years old coming off a 2-year layoff, bro. Like, I think if Klitschko would have been a couple years younger, that fight would have went a lot differently, but whatever. The Dillian White fight that was 6-7 years ago, Povetkin was 40 years old. And he went 1-1 with Ruiz. And Ruiz was somebody he should have rolled over. AJ's also an orthodox fighter, and Usyk's a southpaw. So he's going to have that advantage against AJ as well. But like I say, I had to write a couple notes down for this. Like I say, AJ needs to use his jab, use his distance, and catch Usyk coming in and out, right? He can use the pull counter right if Usyk lunges in too far, right? And for Usyk, he's got to use his feet, give him different looks, use angles, and be able to close the distance. I think this is the thing. I think that Usyk, he can't be gun shy in this fight like Loma was against Teofimo. He can't just give a bunch of early rounds away. Now, I'm not saying go out right from the opening bell and be reckless, but in the same breath, he has to, have a high volume in this fight. Usyk does. Don't be reckless, but you have to have a lot of output and give AJ something to think about while he's throwing. Now, my guess is AJ is going to fight off the back foot and try to use his distance and his jab, and I think that's going to work a little bit in Usyk's favor because I think Usyk, it would be smart for him to go to AJ's body early, take his legs away a little bit, and also chip away at that gas tank because AJ is known for having conditioning issues. We saw it in the Ruiz fight. We saw it in the Klitschko fight. We've seen it few times over. So go chip away at the body. Don't fucking just start giving early rounds away. You are in this man's backyard. That's another thing I wanted to talk about. Unless Usyk just dominates him, I think if it's close, they'll probably give a decision to AJ. They are fighting in London, or Cardiff, or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, so Usyk's going to have to do a little bit extra to get a fair shake on the scorecards. I don't think they're going to totally fuck him if it's a close fight. but they might. So he's going to have a little extra incentive to do a little bit more each round. Okay, it's the biggest fight of both of their careers, and it's, it's one of the best fights in the year in boxing. I mean, we got Castaño Charlo for undisputed, ended in a robbery. Castaño should have won. Taylor Ramirez for undisputed. Taylor won. Chocolatito Estrada 2, and we got an older Pacquiao fight. So this is up there for the biggest fights of the year. But yeah, I think it would be wise for Alexander Usyk to let AJ chip away at his body early and let him fatigue a little bit. And like I say, don't throw the same 3 punches, bro. Give him different looks. Give AJ something to think about, because here's the thing. I think Usyk not only has a better chin than Anthony Joshua, but he's also mentally a lot tougher than Anthony Joshua is. I think AJ's a little bit of a mental weakling. He tends to crumble a little bit when the pressure's on, like he did with Ruiz. He almost crumbled with a 41-year-old, 2-year layoff Klitschko. But he can't give early rounds away. He has to have a high volume in this fight. He can't, without getting reckless, I'm saying. And he has to, he's got to close the gap. AJ's going to try fighting off the back foot. He's got to close that gap. I think it would be stupid for Anthony Joshua just to bum rush him, because I think if he does, he's going to get hit with some crazy counters from Alexander Usyk. And so I think I think AJ should use his long jab, use his 4-inch reach advantage, keep Usyk at bay, and try to catch Usyk coming in and out, okay? Like I say, if Usyk lunges in too far, he can always hit him with the pull counter right, So that's something AJ can use. But this is a very, very, in my opinion, this is probably the hardest fight to predict of the year. I told you Chocolatito was going to beat Estrada. He got robbed. We all know he won that. I told you Charlo Castaño was going to end in a controversial decision. It did. I told you Taylor Ramirez was going to beat Jose Ramirez for undisputed. The Pacquiao fight, Pacquiao got old that night. So don't hold that against me. But I'd say in boxing, this is probably the hardest pick I've had to make all year. It's easy just to go, AJ's bigger and stronger, he'll knock him out, and bulldoze right through him like that crackhead David Hayes prediction. Like, he's a fucking idiot. I think that Usyk is going to be a very hard puzzle for Anthony Joshua to solve. I think he's a little too stiff. I think he's a little too robotic. Even though he's bigger and stronger, I think this is the best pure boxer, technically wise, that Anthony Joshua's ever fought. And you could say it was Klitschko, but again, that was a 41-year-old Klitschko. But Klitschko was bigger and stronger than Usyk, but I don't think he's as technically good as Usyk is. I don't. And he's also a southpaw, bro. So Usyk should circle to his right, stay away from Anthony Joshua's right hand. Again, chip away at the body in the early rounds, and then slowly, as he fatigues, start to come up to the head, bro, as the rounds go on. Don't give away any rounds because you're fighting in this man's backyard. But I do think this is a stylistically bad fight for Anthony Joshua. This is just my opinion. And this is the heavyweight division. Anything can happen. AJ could crack him with the good one and put his fucking lights out. These aren't featherweights fighting that just throw 1,000 punches and nobody goes down. It could very well wind up being, he could very well get caught with something, Usyk could, and go to sleep. But I think Usyk's got a good chin. And you know why? It's because I'm going to tell you something. When Lomachenko fought Teofimo, one of the things that stood out to me in that fight, even though Lomachenko lost, was how well he took Teofimo's punches. I thought if Teofimo connected with him like that, like he did with Richard Comey and Diego Magdaleno and some of these other guys, he was going to go out, and he didn't. Okay? And he made it a very close fight. Like we say, the scorecards were fucking atrocious. Teofimo won, but the scorecards were atrocious, right? So I'm gonna make a bold prediction here. I'm going to say that there's going to be a couple of oh fuck moments from both guys where I think both dudes are going to have to bite down on that mouthpiece and overcome adversity in this fight. But I think Usyk's going to eventually get to him. I do think he's going to get to him. I think in the late rounds, Anthony Joshua is going to fatigue if Usyk sets a high pace for him. And that's where Usyk's going to capitalize, and that's where I believe Alexander Usyk is going to knock Anthony Joshua out in his hometown. And like I say, this is going to be a fucking crazy fight, man. I cannot wait for this shit. It's the best fight of the month of September by far. But I'm rolling with Alexander Usyk, 10th round TKO. Okay? And another thing we got to watch out for is maybe the ref might give one of them Carl Froch, George Grove stoppages. So another thing to keep an eye on. But I'm rolling with Alexander Usyk. I got him winning. I think he's going to knock Anthony Joshua out. I think he's going to confuse the shit out of him with his style. AJ's going to fatigue, and Usyk's eventually going to get to him. Now, with that being said, everybody please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. God bless you all. There will be a part 2 to this video. Salute.